Hey, what's up, you guys? Marty Schwartz here with Marty Music, and I'm going to give you a very entry-level beginner, your first bar chord lesson. I'm going to talk about the concepts and also the technique on how to learn them as quick as possible. Also, if you want to get really deep into that, I have an entire multi-hour long course on bar chords, and it's totally free at martymusic.com. So check the link below if you want the entire course on bar chords. I'm going to give you a nice entry-level lesson right now. And also, if you want to keep getting awesome lessons like this totally for free, be sure to subscribe here to the Marty Music YouTube channel. Let's break it down. All right, so bar chords, I'm going to talk about just the concept of them. And there's a few things that we want to know before that will make bar chords easier. One, you want to know the E chord and the A chord. That would be E minor, also E major. You also want to know A minor and A major. Because what a bar chord is, or at least the first two that are the most used, it's where your index finger basically becomes a capo and you bar across all 6 strings and press down and then form one of those E minor or E major shapes or A minor or A major shapes. And so you're shifting where the strings start with your index finger, just like a capo, and then playing the corresponding shape. So that's the first thing. You want to know an E minor chord, an E major chord. You want to know an A minor chord and an A major chord. The other thing that would be very, very helpful is knowing your E string roots and your A string roots. And you don't have to sit and memorize it in one sitting, but you can start by, looking at the E string and knowing that E to F is just a half step. So then the first fret would be an F note, because that's what we're going to plug in to find a full bar chord, the root on the E string or the root on the A string. So E, F, whole step to G, so third fret to G, and the dots help you start to memorize that. After G, we go up a whole step and it starts over, the musical alphabet starts at A after G. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So there's A, whole step to B. Now B to C is the only other spot where it's a half step between the letter names. So B is the 7th fret, C is a half step up the 8th fret. Then we have D is a whole step up, 10th fret. And then we start over, the octave of the open E is the double dots, the 12th fret. So there's E again, E, E. So check it out, B to C. If I found the B and C on the open A string, it should sound exactly the same. You count up the same way, but instead of starting with an E, it starts with an A. Open A, whole step to B, so 2nd fret. C is a half step. So listen to the B to C right there. Right here. So the exact same notes, different location. And so when you find a root on the E string, so if I found A on the E string, when I find the root on the E string and I bar it, I'm going to then use a corresponding E shape with the E root. So that would be the E minor shape with those 2 fingers, or the E major shape with these 3 fingers. And so now that is an A major, because I'm playing the E major shape. This is an A minor, because I'm playing the E root A and the E minor corresponding shape. There's certain chords. Now, I just played A major, and I played A minor. Now, I can play those in the open form. I can play A major right here. It's the same chord. I can play A minor right here. Different voicings with the same chord. There are certain chords that don't have an open form. And so you have to play it as a bar chord. And so that's where we get into needing to know bar chords. Now, a capo is kind of a way where you can get by without it, but as a guitar player, if you want to keep progressing, you're going to want to play bar chords. So I'm going to show you one of those classic bar chords that you can't play in an open form, and that is B minor. So if I just said a chord name, I say the letter, so that's the root, B, and I said minor, meaning the tonality, B minor, a B minor chord. I'm going to show this chord to you, and then we're going to put a progression together that just has just the B minor chord in it, and then the rest of them are open chords. It's a great way to practice your bar chords, is a song that has just like one bar chord or two bar chords. The fewer the better, and you start to practice it. Then I'm going to show you technique to help you get the bar chord down. But first, we're just talking about the concept here. So B minor, we're going to do it on the A root. So I have an open A string. A whole step up is a B note. So second fret A string is a B. A, B. And I said B minor. So when we find the root, we're going to bar across. And, you know, covering the E string is a good idea too. So the whole thing shifts up, but the root is the A string. And I said B minor, so we have B. So when we find the root on the A string, it's going to be a corresponding A shape. Minor with the root on the A string means I'm going to use the A minor shape. So that's a B minor chord. So I'm using my finger, and I'm going to talk about technique in a second, but I'm just going across the second fret. That second fret A string is the root. And then I'm going to play this A minor shape. So that'd be third finger on the fourth fret D. Pinky will be on the fourth fret G. And then middle finger will be on the third fret B string. And I'm hearing all, starting on that A string across, I'm hearing them all ring out. So let me talk about the technique now. First thing, your elbow, you want to move it in toward your rib cage like this. Okay? What that does is it puts your hand, see if my elbow's out like this? Look at my hand. If my elbow moves in towards my rib cage, you can see it makes my hand and my fingers go parallel to the frets. Like this. Elbow in. So that's one thing, because now it makes it where your hand's already being forced into the proper position right there. So that's one thing. Okay. Next, the index finger bar, that tends to be really tricky. You got to squeeze pretty hard between your thumb and your index finger there. You know. And you want to use the side of your index finger, not the padded part, which is softer. The side is bonier, harder ridge. You won't have to press as hard. In fact, I can feel some calluses along there from playing so long. But you want to use the side of your finger. So not the pad, but just, you can see my index. Also, once again, the elbow helps with that too. So more the side of your finger. You see that? Not the flat, the side. Pressing across. Now you can start by just doing that and hear if you can, all those strings will ring out. Okay, that worked. Then I'm going to form that A minor shape as I do that. And it'll be hard at first. So what I recommend, I'm going to show you a progression. You're going to want to just play this progression, and if your bar chord doesn't like really ring out or sound good, that's okay. Play through the progression, go through the motions where it's not sounding right. That's going to force you to improve until it does eventually sound better. Okay? So I just played that chord, right? One, rotate practicing where you bar the chord down with your first finger, then put the shape, and play the chord. The next time you practice it, do the chord shape first, then the bar. Then do another rotation where you try the whole thing at once. Also, a great technique that I was taught by a guitar teacher a long time ago, before the internet in the dark ages. You can take your hand that's formed the shape and try and keep the shape as you take your hand off, and then put it back on, and that'll help with your muscle memory, and you know, make the corrections you need to make. So that's B minor. How would I make that B major? Well, it's the same root, but instead of an A minor shape, I make an A major shape, and you would do that with flattening your third finger across the D, G, and B. A lot of people will say B is the hardest bar chord. I'd say B flat is. Flat meaning a half step lower than the natural note. So that's B flat. And then you have A. B to C is a half step, so if I just scooted that up, now it's a C major chord. You can hear they're the same. Just little concepts to get you going. So back to B minor. I'm going to play a B minor, but with the E root, just to show you that. So what I would do is I'd find B on the E string. Then, since it's the E root, I would form an E minor shape. So let's play a B minor with the root on the E string. E, half step to F, whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B. It's the same note. And so we found it on the E string. We want to play B minor. We're going to bar across there and make an E minor shape. Now, when you do the E minor shape, what's nice about it is you can take your middle finger and double up for extra strength on that bar. Really kind of only works with this E minor shape, but it helps a lot. So I'm just doubling up there to help add more pressure to that 7th fret bar. So let's compare that B minor to this B minor. It's the exact same chord. You may ask, well, when do I do which one? Well, the more you start to play guitar, the more it'll become more obvious to you, but the answer is you can do either, right? So then it boils down to what other chords are in the progression. That way you can stay in a spot and not have to move as far away. For instance, if I had a chord progression B minor to E minor, I can play this one, and I can play E minor right here. But if I played this B minor and I wanted to go to an E minor chord, I know, because I've been playing a long time, that E is right next door on that 7th fret A string. So A root, A minor shape to play an E minor right here. A different voicing. It's the same notes, but some of them are in different registers, but it's still the same chord as this. Now, when you know bar chords, you can mix up a 2-chord progression and add variety to it. I can go like this. Okay, so here's this. This isn't how to play Pink Floyd, but this is a Pink Floyd progression of Comfortably Numb, the first part. B minor, so we'll play right here. And then the rest we're going to use open chords. So this is a great one. You can look up a tutorial on Comfortably Numb and be able to practice along with the whole song if you want. I've got tutorials for all that. But so B minor right here to A major. I'm going to play open. I'm going to go G, D, E minor. Pretty quick change, but D, E minor, back to B minor. Starts over on B minor. To A. G, D, E minor, B minor. One more time. To A. G, D, E minor, back to B minor. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. I have an entire free course at martymusic.com on bar chords. So if you want to go multi-hours, dig deeper into this, it's very valuable to your guitar playing, and you can check it out for free in the link below. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that lesson. Now, don't forget I have an entirely free bar chord course at martymusic.com in the link down below. Also, appreciate your support. It helps me out if you like the video, comment, and also please subscribe right here to the Marty Music YouTube channel, and I'll be bringing you more lessons all the time. So thanks again. We'll see you later.